Alright, you get a blue card. Gamble. The character may gamble as much money as he has, then the player rolls a die, and so does the card. The highest roll wins the total amount of saber gambled. So how much saber do you have?
I have 6.
Alright, so you can gamble if you want.
No, I don't gamble.
Alright. Hey guys, I'm Dave.
And I'm Len.
And today we played The World of Heroes and Tyrants. Who is this by? The fantasy board game. It just says by Bruce P. Dowen. I can't... I think the manufacturers Guild the Blades or something. The reason we played this is so you don't have to. I got this at a convention for, I don't know, like $1 or something. I was like, fine, I'll give you $1 for it. And I looked online, and basically I didn't see anyone who had anything good to say about this game, so I was like, oh god, this is going to suck. But I was like, yeah, I'll try it anyways. So I tried it, and yeah, it sucks. Essentially what it is it's a Talisman clone, and it's got really poor components. It's got like these stand-up figures and stuff that are printed in black and white, and the retail price on this is $27.95. Really, this should be like $14 or something due to the crappy components. They have the crappy cards where you have to, like, they're perforated and you have to cut out the cards and stuff. So in that case, it's kind of like Naval War was like that. But that was like the 1970s, early 80s, so they had an excuse back then. I think this game's about 10 years old or something, so I mean, they should have got better cards, especially for a $27.95 price tag. But essentially what goes on is you can move exactly one square, and when you move to that square, you either draw an encounter card, or if it's got a black outline, then you roll on a table to see what happens, and you might move up in a profession, become a demon or an angel or something, or you might get a spell, or you might pick up an item, and or you might fight a creature, depending on what the encounter card says. So the weird thing about the fighting the creatures are it'll have like a stat, and it will say like Dexterity 12. So the creature, when the roll's done for him, will just roll a D10 and add 12 to it, and then you'll add whatever your value of that stat is and roll the dice, and then something either good or bad will happen. Like it might say that your intelligence will go up 6 if you win, or go down 6 if you lose. So it's one of these games with the mechanics where your stats constantly change during the game, which I don't like in any game. I've played other games that have done that, and I've never liked the mechanic. You do have hit points, so if you have hit points, well, by golly, if you lose combat, well, then you should lose hit points and not your stats. It's just really goofy. And it's got this other stuff in here. You can get followers and slaves. The good thing about the followers is if you're doing an encounter, and the encounters looks like it's going to kill you no matter what, you can just have the slave fight him and lose your slave instead, or your slave will get one of his stats knocked all the way down to 1. All your stats can only go down to 1, except for Saber, which can go to 0. That's your money. And hit points, if it hits 0, well, then you're dead. But to win, you start the game with 3 quests, and if you solve the 3 quests, then you win the game. The quest might be, like, one might be you have to become a demon, so then you have to go to the space where you roll, and if I roll a 1 on that space, then you become a demon, or whatever it is. Or it might be something like you go to this other space, but you have to go there 4 times, and after the 4th time you've been there, you've solved this quest, and so on and so forth. If you get one that's really difficult, like Len had one where you have to get 10 slaves, and to get a slave you basically have to spend, I think it was 7 saber to get a slave, and then you free your slaves later. After you free all 10, then you've solved that quest. Well, that's one that's going to take a lot of turns to do, so apparently on the back of the box it says that you can steal quests from other players and so on and so forth. It talked about how you can steal... well, hold that one second. Hold that thought one second. Yeah, so doesn't tell you how to steal a quest from another player, which is kind of weird. It just tells you the effects if it happens, so... And if you land on a space with another player, you can fight them if you want to. And what was the other thing I was going to talk about here? Oh, there's another way to win the game. You go to the center space of the board and you fight some huge demon. And in the unlikely event that you win, then you'll get some magic horn, and you have to take the magic horn to your start space, and then you win the game. But I don't see anyone playing this game and winning that way. It's going to be won by quests. And we found a few other things, too, in the rule book that were missing from the rule book. The rule book for this is absolutely awful. This guy should have hired someone to write the rule book. I'm sure when he played the game with his friends, it was halfway decent, but the way the rules were written was so bad, it was ridiculous. And like the character sheets you have to photocopy from the book, you're paying $27.95 for this game, and you have to photocopy the character sheets. I mean, come on. I mean, you couldn't have printed out some character sheet cards, and just ridiculous. What did you think of this? I mean, obviously you guys can see I don't recommend it, but what did you think of it?
Okay, here's a warning or message I want to give to people when designing a game. Decisions, decisions, decisions. The more decisions you have to make, the happier the player will be. Because at the end of the game, even if you lose, you sit there going, maybe if I did this differently or that differently. This one's like more random luck. The only decision you make is which square to move to. Plus also, I didn't like, for instance, I had to buy 10 slaves to free them. There's only one place to go on the board, was a free port, and then I had to roll a d10 and get a 5 to even get a couple slaves, which means that I probably have to 20, 30 turns if I'm lucky.
Yeah. Well, what the game needs is a mechanic. Like if you get a quest card that's going to take, like you said, 20 turns to do. They got to add a mechanic to the game where you can discard that quest card, and instead of taking your turn, draw another quest card or something. Yeah. I'm sure when they were play testing this on their own before they did the rules or wrote the rules, there probably was something like that. Well, it didn't make it to the rule book, so that ruined the game.
Yeah. I was about to say, this looks like a kind of thing that needs to be tested about 50 to 100 times more to get it right. There's another thing, supposed to go to this one square and buy a slave to free. And then you roll a d10 and there's no slaves to buy. So
right, yeah, there was, I remember that, yeah, there was a space where you rolled 1 through 10 and certain things happened, and it told you somewhere else that if you went there, you'd be able to buy slaves, but there's no mechanic at that space to do it. The 1 through 10 all do other stuff, so that was like a big misprint in the book.
The only other choice was go to the big fight the Chaos Lord to death, and that would have, but it was pointless.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, is it was meant to be a tough, if you could change your quest, because like I said, impossible, or maybe just some other I think the quest was just to give you a point to wander around the map. Yeah,
and to make the game end sooner, because if it didn't end until you got the horn from killing the Chaos Lord and got to your starting space, I mean, the game would probably last like 200 turns or something. So the only thing about this that's better than the original Talisman is that the game can end early due to 3 quests being solved. Talisman, I played that with my friends a couple times and a few times at a convention. Every time I played it, it just took forever to play. So that's the only thing better about this, is it plays faster. But
and just like a personal preference, I hate having changed characters. I said a high-tech human. At a certain point, I'm changing into a demon. Where's that come from?
Well, that's your new profession.
Yeah, where did that come from? I mean, it's like, it's like Lord of the Rings and the hobbits turn into orcs or elves or something. I never heard of it.
Essentially, what I would call this, I'm not trying to be mean or anything, this is a diarrhea game. What that means is that the person had like a brainstorm and they diarrheaed all these ideas into the game and didn't work out the ones that didn't work or make the other ones work better or anything. So it's just kind of, just a diarrhea game, really.
Well, I was thinking this game had Douglas Adams' sort of kind of humor. He wrote the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and I tried to read it. It was like incomprehensible. But others say, you don't get it? It's there's a whole bunch of little silly jokes all through that, and it's like, I don't get it. You either get it or you don't. And I think this thing, maybe, you're supposed to chuckle as you go to, one of your quests go to hell. Okay, people say I should go there, so I will. So,
another thing, there's some, like the red spaces where you go and you get like a red card. I mean, those are really powerful. If you, in the beginning of the game, before you get a profession and your stats increase, go to a red square, you're probably going to die right there. Or if you go to hell, like I had a card where I had a quest where I had to turn into a demon, so I had to go to hell to do so. And basically you turn into a demon if you roll a 1 while you're on that space. Well, some of the other stuff on there, like you fight Lucifer, and if you lose, I don't know, you lose, like, I forget what it is, like 55 hit points or something like that, so I nearly died over there. Yeah. But your followers, though, in a case like that, if you have a follower still alive, you can have the follower fight Lucifer, and then the follower will die instead.
But I'll say something nice. I did like the map.
Yeah, the map, this has been sitting in the box for a long time. It was unplayed, so the map was all warped and stuff. I really should have brought some plexiglass, but the actual artwork on the map actually isn't bad. My only complaint about the map really is they should have made the names of the areas larger, because looking at a lot of them are written upside down, according to your point of view, where you're sitting on the table and stuff. So if that's the case, I mean, make them as big as possible. So it's easier to read big writing upside down than small writing upside down.
Yeah, so it's got problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, I about to say, if you're short on money, pass on this. And go. But if you like good artwork on maps, you'll probably like that.
I do believe the $1 I paid for this, I did get my money's worth. It is worth $1. It's just not worth the $27.95.
If you get it for $1, just might not be a bad game design kit. Take the components and and create your own game.
Mm-hmm. So. Or hell, use the Talisman map instead or something.
All right.
All right, guys. We'll have a better game for you next time. Have a good one.
I was going to say.